Hey there everybody, and welcome to the Learnology channel. Today we're going to be going through how to set up your MacBook for development. We're going to go through each element in a little bit of detail here and give you an explanation as to what each thing is and how you can download it. And then at the end of this video you should be completely set up and able to do whatever you want in terms of development and go from there. The first thing we're going to want to download here is something called iTerm 2. So you can just go to Google and search iTerm. It should be the first thing that comes up. When you start developing on a MacBook and you haven't downloaded anything yet, you will have a standard terminal, which I'll look up right here. Terminal, all right? And that terminal's okay. You know, it looks okay. It's just iTerm 2. You know, it's got a different color scheme. It's a lot easier to look at. This is what it looks like in iTerm 2. So you have a little bit more control over it, what it looks like, things like that. So I just generally prefer to go with iTerm 2. So that's going to be your terminal. So we're going to go ahead and come over here. You're just going to click the download link, and it's going to have you go through all the standard stuff. Just with any other MacBook download, it goes into your downloads. Then you can come over here, you can click on the zip file. It opens it up and then gives you the download manager. It's a little bit different for me just because I have already downloaded iTerm 2, so it's looking a little different. But as you can see here, it's popped into my downloads, and you can just double click it. Mine will already pop up because it's something that I already have. Oh, look at that. Move to Applications folder. You're going to click Move to Applications folder. It's going to move it to your Applications folder. So that's your first step. When you open up iTerm, yours is going to look a little different here. That's because I have something installed called ZSH, and that is something that we are going to have you guys install. One of the first things that you're going to want to install, though, is you're going to want to go to the App Store. And this is a totally free app. This is called Xcode. You're going to search for Xcode. Now, you don't need to download it here, but it is worth downloading. So you can come over here, go to Xcode. I already have it installed again, so you can just hit, this should say get or install or whatever. You're going to want to install that. That'll take a minute, so give it a brief minute. This is going to be your developer tools. So you can use the app for Xcode, and you can use it to develop and write code and everything like that. And it is useful, like you can see here, when you're developing for mobile apps, specifically iPhone. But you can use Xcode to do all sorts of mobile development as well. However, we just want it for the dev tools. So go ahead and download that. Once you've downloaded Xcode, you can come over to the terminal here. And then we want to see how mine has this little arrow here in the terminal. So you're going to want to go to a website called Homebrew. So this is like it basically just installs, like it says here, the stuff that you need that Apple didn't have. So Homebrew is basically, it manages a lot of your installations. Not really like packages necessarily, but like services. So you can download like Postgres, which is a database, and things like that. You can download all that stuff in the background with Homebrew rather than, going to a website and installing or things like that. So we're gonna go ahead and copy this line here, so just highlight it, or you can click this here, copies to clipboard. You're going to come over to your terminal. Now we're using iTerm, so we can close out the actual terminal here. So, and again, don't get too hung up on this. I'm going to have you install that as well in a second, but you're going to go ahead and paste that here, and then you're going to run the code. So once you run that, what you can do is you can run brew doctor, and that will just tell you if your system is okay, and it's all set up and you're good to go. Okay, and once your Homebrew is installed, you can also run a command called brew doctor and hit enter. And if it comes up successful, it will say something along the lines of your system is ready to brew. Yours, since you'll be downloading it for the first time, assuming that you are on the latest version of your iOS or Mac OS software, yours will say your system is ready to brew. And if it's not, you could try downloading it again and see what happens. And if it still doesn't work, leave a comment below, and I'll address it with you, eventually, and hopefully we'll get you up and running. But anyway, once you've downloaded Homebrew, that's when you can get to the cool stuff, you know. So the next thing we're going to want to download is this. It's called OhmyZSH. OhmyZSH. I think something along those lines. And we're going to want to download that. So we can do OhmyZSH in Google and click on this. And look, you can just click install OhmyZSH. It's going to bring you to this command here. You're going to want to copy the whole thing. So just command copy. And then you come to your terminal and you run the command. Boom, it's going to install it. I already have ZSH, so it's giving me some, weird errors. See, ZSH folder already exists. But when you run yours, it should start the install. So yeah. And once you're finished with OhmyZSH, then you can start installing some code stuff. So I have something called NVM for Node. It's Node Version Manager, and these are all the versions of Node that I have. So you can install Homebrew, or you can use Brew to install Node.js, I believe, or Brew install NVM. And that's going to install the Node Version Manager. See, I have NVM already, so again, it's already saying that. But you can run brew install NVM, and it will start to download it. And then you should be able to say NVM list, and it should just say you don't have anything installed or something like that. So now you can pick any Node version that you'd like once you have that installed and your install is complete. You can pick any Node version that you'd like. I'm using 14.18 right now because I have some older Rails projects that I like to use from time to time or like to go into, and version 14 works for them. So I just haven't upgraded to 16 or 18 yet. I do have them, so I can switch. If I ever wanted to do NVM use 18.7.0, I could do that. It switches over to 18.7, and then if I do again NVM list, you can see now I'm using 18.7 right there. Now that we have NVM installed, I think we're pretty good to go here. We can also do brew install RVM. So RVM is Ruby Version Manager. So next we're going to go to the RVM website, and we're going to download Ruby Version Manager from here. So we're going to copy a curl command, and that command will check a few things. We're going to copy this one here where it says install RVM stable with Ruby. This is off of the RVM's website. So this one right here is what we're going to copy because it's going to first install RVM, and then it's going to install the most stable, most current version of Ruby that will work on your machine. So we'll copy that, and then we'll paste it here and run that. And once you hit enter, your computer should install RVM, and then it will install the latest version of Ruby that's stable. That will probably take a little while, so I would give it some time. But yeah, and then once you have that done, we can move on to our final point here. Okay, so now at this point we should have NVM installed, we should have Ruby installed, we should have Homebrew installed, and we should be able to start to do stuff. So the last thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to be able to do Ruby on Rails and do React and things like that. And so those are going to be managed by a few different package managers, which we can take a look at here. So if we go into my projects folder and we go to any Rails app, really I'll just pick the first one. I think Venviews is a Rails app. Yep. So the first thing we're going to want to do is if you're in a Ruby on Rails app, you're going to want to run bundle install. So bundle is a Rails gem, and that just means that it's a package that you can install, it's a Ruby gem. It's a package that you can install, and it allows you to basically manage all of the other gems in your folder. So it reads off of a single file, and that single file is basically a checklist that says, okay, here are all of the packages that we have installed or that we want to have installed in our application, and it just goes through each one and just starts to install them. So that's one thing we're going to want to do. So we can do bundle install. This may actually run because I haven't opened up Venviews in a while. Yeah, so it looks at our gem file, which you see right here, and it sees all of the dependencies that we have listed in that file as things that we want in our project. So it runs through that, it installs them, it updates them, whatever. And if you don't have bundle, depending on what version of Ruby you've installed, you can also just do gem install bundler, and that's going to install the latest version of bundler. And then you can do bundle install after that. So yeah, that's how you get bundle. Bundle install, depending on if you're in a Rails project or not, it may install Ruby on Rails for you. If it doesn't, you can just say, you can say either bundle install or you could say gem install Rails. And that will get you the latest version of Rails installed on your computer. Usually when you open up a Ruby project though, you're going to do Rails new first to create the project. And then once you navigate into that Rails directory, you can just do bundle install and it will install the version of Rails that you want. I can actually show you if we open up this program here, or this file. You can see down here in the gem file, it should list the version of Rails that we're on. Let's see. Yeah, right here, gem Rails 5.2.1. And it also lists the Ruby version. So this file is going to install all that stuff. And this is the file that gets read, by the way. Okay, so now that we have Ruby on Rails installed, that's all well and good. You can also run npm install, and that's going to read a similar file. It's going to be your package.json. So in your package.json, I'll show you that file as well. Your package.json is going to have a list of all of your packages that are installed in this project folder. So it's going to read the package.json. It's going to go through that checklist, similar to how it goes through the gem file. And it's going to install all of the dependencies and all of the dev dependencies. And then it's going to install all the versions that you're pointing to and things like that. And then it's going to create a package lock.json, and that is just a list of all the stuff that's been installed. So we're not going to touch this file, but this gets created when you run npm install. And notice it's huge. So that's what npm install does. And yeah, we gotta do a bunch of updates. There are some things that I need to update on this computer, it looks like. But yeah, so that will install npm. From there, you can do things like npm add, I think it's add react. It might be npm install, but that's how you would add packages to your project. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That gets you everything, at least in your terminal, that you'll need. The only other thing that I think I'd recommend overall for this program, or just any sort of learning program that you do, you're going to want a text editor. I use VS Code here, as you can see, Visual Studio Code. So you can just go to their website, VS Code's website. I think it's, I don't actually know who, yeah, it's developed by Microsoft. So if you're a fan of Microsoft, this is a very well supported by all kinds of developers text editor. There's a ton of extensions that you can install. You can see all these extensions here. So we're going to do just download Mac Universal or whatever. It's usually when you go to the website, it will recommend whatever download based on the operating system that you're on. So you can just click download and just download it like any other app. It's going to go into your downloads folder, and then you just double click it, move it to your applications folder like any other download, and then you should have VS Code. When you go into VS Code, there is one thing that you can do here. You can install the code command. Yeah, so if you do this sort of like arrow there, and then you type install, you can do shell command install code command in path. That's going to be the one that you're going to want to click there. When you click on that, it's going to install that in your terminal, so that when you do code dot, for example, it opens VS Code, and it opens VS Code specifically with everything within that directory. So since we're in the Venviews directory, when I type code dot, it says in VS Code, open everything in this directory. That's what the dot means. And as you can see here, These are all the things in the Venviews project. There's the Venviews folder, and there's all the stuff inside of it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you like this video, be sure to like, subscribe if you haven't already. If you have any other questions about dev setup or what you need to do to get your computer up and running, just leave a comment down below, and I'll be sure to reply as much as I can, and we'll get you up and running. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time, I guess.